I think that the North Carolina State Port Authority is working on a lot of great initiatives right now. I do think that maybe it would be important to go ahead and actually promote these activities. I think you're doing a lot of great things, but I'm not quite sure how familiar the market is with those accomplishments. I was on your website. I saw that you picked up 2 new carriers recently, Maersk and ICL. I know you've had port expansion in both Wilmington and Morehead City. The whole National Gateway Initiative, establishing that double-stack corridor between Wilmington and Charlotte, is fabulous. I know you've been doing a lot in terms of your on-dock and your at-site facilities. I read on your website that your volume is up 20%, 28% actually. I've read also that your productivity is 40+ moves per hour. I know you've done a lot relative to cost containment initiatives, offering competitive rates and quality service. And I know you've done a lot also in reference to your green initiatives, your environmental issues. And I think it's fabulous that you're doing these things. So I think you have a lot going on. And I think it's just a question of, especially from a business development perspective, is to go out and really push these issues and make people more publicly aware of what the port is doing. So I think that might be one recommendation. And second of all, I don't know to what extent, I'm probably not in a perfect position to evaluate this, but I just think it's critical to develop the partnerships with the ocean carriers and the BCOs and the vendors that you're servicing, aiming at kind of cost containment and cargo growth at the same time. So issues like the Panama Canal in 2014, how is that going to impact, I should say, the shippers, and how is that going to impact the port? And I think in terms of getting out in front of that and finding out what the requirements of the carriers might be relative to the Panama Canal would be critical. I also think in terms of the distribution facilities, I've seen some of the other port authorities really promote their distribution and inland corridors. And I think that would be real important for North Carolina also. And again, I know that you're doing lots of initiatives along those ways. And then thirdly of all, in terms of establishing partnerships with some of your infrastructure, whether it be with roads or with the railroads like CSX, I just think they're critical. And I think that promoting those through partnerships would be a good thing for the port. When I was with America Systems, Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey came out with an RFP for a web-based port community system. And I was acting with ASI in a business development capacity. So my role was business development, and my actions were really to position the company to make sure that we were a qualified vendor even to receive the RFP. So I spent a lot of time with the Port Authority, got to know them, got to know their particular requirements. It was my responsibility to make sure that we were issued the RFP. It was my responsibility to prepare the response from ASI back to the Port Authority. I presented that RFP to the port when we had completed it. And subsequent to the award, which we received, my position changed a little bit, and I was more in terms of the project relations manager for that particular project. Some of the lessons that I learned is the importance of staying close to the customer. I don't think that if we had just received the RFP and hadn't had prior contact with the port that we would have received it, or for that matter even have been awarded the particular contract. As far as doing things any differently, the only thing in retrospect, I thought maybe it would have been even more important to sit with the Port Authority and sit with their particular customers. So understanding the port's customers' requirements would have been a little bit more effective in terms of us developing this application, as opposed to them telling us what their customers' requirements were. In terms of recognition, because we were awarded this, there was some type of monetary performance incentive that was given to me. But quite frankly, equally important, or maybe even more important, was just the kudos that I received from the Port Authority and that I also received from the company that I was working for. And as far as the outcome, we were awarded a 3-year contract with the port. It included application development, it included maintenance, and also included the hosting of the particular application over a 3-year time period. And It's somewhat confidential, but it was a substantial revenue source for ASI. As far as industry challenges, on the liner side of the business, you have vessel capacity that exceeds demand. You have too much capacity chasing freight. You have freight rates that don't cover the cost, the assets for the organization. I think in a lot of cases, asset utilization is a major challenge, in particular on the equipment side. Cost containment initiatives are critical for the ocean carriers right now. And I think in a lot of cases, the ocean carriers are trying to evolve from a strict ocean carrier to a logistics service provider. I know that the NVOs, non-asset providers, are probably making more money than most other market segments right now. And I think there's kind of an evolution from some of the carriers. People like Maersk and NYK have done that already, but I think other people are trying to evolve into more of a logistics provider. And I think another critical issue, a challenge that the ocean carriers face, is developing a win-win partnership with the customers and the vendors that they work along with. On the port side, having efficient, modern port facilities, both landside and waterside, is critical. And that's particularly important because with the expansion of the Panama Canal in 2014, just anticipating more cargo coming to the eastern coast, and at the same token have the shoreside facilities to go ahead and to be able to accommodate that. Infrastructure in terms of the roads and rails are absolutely critical for the port authorities. Distribution facilities are important. And then you have some generic type of issues like security, the environment, labor, and customer retention and acquisition, all critical issues for the port authorities. As far as challenges that impact the candidate, I think it's important for the candidate to be able to stay on top of all of the industry developments. I think it's important to understand the port community, specifically the truck, rail, labor, carrier, beneficial cargo owner markets and the variables that they're facing at this particular point. I think it's important to work closely with these entities, including the government, as partners to provide funding for these different initiatives. And I think it's also, there's a need to partner with the customers to tackle on a collective basis all of these challenges. Why do I feel like I'm the best match for this particular position? There's a couple of reasons. Number one is that I have a business development background and skill set. I understand the port industry. I have many industry contacts, and probably most importantly is that I have a real, genuine interest in the industry. As far as setting me apart from other individuals that you might be considering, is that I've been in the industry for a long time, and it may sound like a cliche, but I really truly love the industry that I've been working with. And I'm also a very competitive person. I have a strong sense of accomplishment. I want to succeed. I want to be the next port authority north or south of you. As far as the organizational culture that I like to work in, and maybe it's a little bit repetitive to a prior question, but again, I want management support. I want an openness in terms of the staff that I work along with. I want us to work as a team. Again, I like that autonomy to let me just kind of run with certain initiatives that I believe in. And I think it's absolutely critical, and most importantly, for the culture to be customer focused and let them kind of dictate what our needs and what our requirements are. I'm very interested in the position. I'm excited about utilizing my work experience and leveraging that experience to help grow the port. I really appreciate this opportunity for the video, and I'm just looking forward to meeting with you in the future and continuing these discussions. Thank you.